Good timing all around, because I am, of course, General Lotz, and as you can hear in the background, I am joined by Ray Nick. And we are here. Are we going?
Just saying hello.
And we are here for more Doom the Third. Just kind of jump into this because I've been running late. Oh, at least there's no more 10-hour days. For now.
Yeah, there's that.
Whew, man. I've been typing so fast, my arm literally has an arm cramp in it. So, yeah. That's
you might want to watch that. That could be the first signs of an RSI. You might want to watch that.
Yeah.
I was part of this. I helped the madness.
And hello, Reaper the Dragon, and Textstorm Dark Vision.
We don't have much time. We let it through. The evil. The protective stabilizer on the portal just failed after Betruger took the device.
Gotta love Gatorade.
It was an artifact we had found in the ruins. He took it
It's definitely going to come in handy that how hot it's going to get down here.
Summertime yet again. And hello, Hunter
We're
McDaniel.
going to try to get the teleporter systems running again. The areas are destroyed around us, so it's the only way.
Oh, you gotta love that Soul Cube.
We need to find
Now, in the Doom Arena's fan film, which I reviewed many years ago now, actually sort of imbued Doom guy, or Doom 3 guy, with like some sort of magical power. Oh, not the Half-Life 2 retrospective. Ugh. Haven't seen it. Really, the only YouTube video I saw today was the Desert Tech MDR with the 5.56 barrel, which looked cool, but eh.
Well, they're got to compete with the Tavor. Gotta pronounce it properly. And in that price point, you really can't.
It actually does remind me of something kind of interesting. Talking about the Tavor. I was playing a little bit of Rainbow Six Vegas 2 the other day, and that had the TAR 21, which was, I think, like the previous version, or something that would become the Tavor. It's just kind of funny how...
No, that's the military designation number.
Oh, okay, so it's the same thing then.
Yeah.
Okay, I did not know that. I thought it was like a previous version of it. It's one of those things where you look at some of the guns in that game, and it's like, my god, time has passed. And yes, I have finally replaced the battery in my controller. And now I actually have force feedback! Oh my god, we got the rumble packs!
And you want to talk time has passed. Imagine going, looking at firearms today and realizing, in my era, we didn't have red dots. We didn't have, small laser sights. They were freaking huge.
Yeah, I think Schwarzenegger's, the Terminators in Terminator had to have like a giant battery pack shoved in his coat pocket or something along those lines.
Yeah, basically because it would run off a smaller battery, but not for long.
And I was thinking about time passing. It's one of those things, when you reach a certain age, you realize just how quick time really does pass. I mean, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago when I first got this game. And now it's almost 20 years old. And
Yep.
yeah, and go on?
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, Jason Armstrong here says, do you ever find it weird that none of these guns in Doom 3 have a rail system? And, well, I'm not surprised. Because almost in 1993, in 2003, there weren't... I don't think the Picatinny rail existed yet.
It did, but it was very limited use. It was SOCOM Block 1, and that was it.
And that's kind of crazy in and of itself. I mean, the actual 1913 rail, is such a recent development compared to everything else. It's like... It's kind of amazing. I was thinking about that today at work. It's kind of interesting to see how nerd culture kind of gets entrenched pretty quickly. D&D is only, I think, like 40 years old, and yet it's considered like one of the cornerstones of nerd culture in general. And Magic the Gathering, which changed the whole concept of the collectible card game, that only goes back to 1994, and yet it seems like it's been around forever.
Yeah, although sadly, Magic and D&D are not in good hands right now. That being said, Yeah, I still have my second edition D&D materials. I still have my alpha and beta magic cards.
Oh,
Some of them.
what about Black Lotus?
Those actually got sold, but yes, I had more than my share of those.
Yeah, I loved playing that particular card in Cockatrice. That was the cheapest thing and the only way I could remotely not lose horribly.
Oh, come on, you could have made a red goblin deck.
I never really got into the whole Magic the Gathering. I never liked card games much to begin with, to be perfectly honest. God damn it! Like, I tried Pokemon as a kid and didn't really like it that much. And yeah, that was just something about card games I don't like. I don't know what it is. I just cannot get into it. Voted the game and
I always went with them because they were quick.
Pokemon or Magic? Or card games in general?
Magic.
Oh.
Magic, although the longest card game, the collectible card game, I should say, I played was Legend of the Five Rings.
Never. Oh, I think I have heard of that.
Basically, think cross between Magic, the Gathering, with a little bit of quote-unquote tower defense, really strategic area defense, and Honor.
Now, Honor's always a weird thing to quantify in games, though.
This, it's not so much. It's basically a counter from 20 to 0.
No. The 20 being to the point where you actually handicap yourself in fighting enemies, and 0 being you shoot people in the back.
No, 20 where you won, and if you're playing an honorable faction, nothing equals you lose.
Oh. Oops.
If you're playing like an Oni faction, it doesn't matter.
Oh. Now see, that's actually, talking about honor and stuff like that, that makes me think of something completely unrelated, but I wanted to bring up in stream. Why did anyone actually want to support the Confederacy of Independent Systems in the Clone Wars? As I'm reading one of the books now, it's like they're strafing civilians. It's like, really? Are they really the good guys in that? I'm just saying. It seems like the Republic's not nearly as bad since they don't actually, kill civilians most of the time.
Well, there are a few times, but it's nowhere near as much. I will agree. Mainly because it's not a case of honor or anything like that. It's a case of, okay, who's going to press me more? Trade Federation, who's going to tax me to death, or Confederation, who's going to bomb me to death?
See, that's always the problem with Star Wars. There's no really good faction. Like, even the New Republic's not particularly intelligent. And I actually saw a couple scenes, and I'm actually going to have to make a call in a minute, ladies and gentlemen, so Rainick will have to lead the team! Lead the team! That's the problem with having a life. It's like, you always constantly got people wanting to talk to you about something. It's like, ugh. I don't know how people who live, like, on call for, like, EMTs and stuff like that even get anything done. It is not something.
Lots of pre-planning.
Yeah. Only card game that matters is Blackjack. You know, I've never actually played Blackjack.
It's played pretty heavily down here. We're a casino town. With a team of 3 people, you can walk away from the boats with pretty good winnings.
I never really was much of a gambling kind of guy, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other.
As for the Half-Life 2 beta, it was a really, really strange, cobbled together. You can tell that it was very much work in progress.
Oh well, I keep forgetting to drop off the fucking plasma thing. Shows how distracted I am. What would the Silent Hill games have any influence in the atmosphere in this game? I have no idea. I have not played any of the Silent Hill games except for a little bit of one. And that's it.
Not really. I mean, by the time this came out, Silent Hill 2 just is coming off its wave. There would have been a little bit, but it's the same standard tropes you'd see in most horror, not just video games. So I would say no.
Decontamination process started.
And see, do through some other masterpiece. Yeah, I could actually give it a 10 out of 10.
Decontamination.
I'm gonna
Have a nice day.
be contrarian and give it a 9.5 because nothing is
could
perfect.
you? Oh, could. It doesn't have co-op built in, well, unless it's the Xbox version, but still. Alright, let's actually.
Systems activated.
Oh, look at how pixelated it is. Oh, man. Okay, maybe that knocks it down a little bit, just because, damn. I don't want my hair to be that pixelated. Okay, I love
Industrial
it.
strength here, though.
Exactly. I absolutely love the teleporters in this game. It's like, you're literally getting teleported through, like, the warp. It's like, I don't think that's going to replace cars anytime soon, just saying.
Not unless the recipient of said teleport has a really strong stomach.
Yeah. Let's see. At Epic Jason, I am doing quite good. Let's see. Half-Life video premiering. Yeah, there's a lot of Event Horizon in this. Okay. And unfortunately, I gotta go for just a few moments. Right, Nick? Lead the team!
I wish this co-op. I could actually do something. As for, Event Horizon, yes, but Event Horizon also cribbed from 40K, which cribbed from authors like Michael Moorcock and others. So there is a lot of overlap. There's just a lot of strangeness that goes on. And John's going to eat it to an imp. If the imp's patrol path goes. 40K, simple. The idea of the warp as what it is, extra-dimensional space filled with basically the congealed emotions of every sentient life form in the galaxy, or technically universe, and the fact that you really do not want to be there. Essentially, Event Horizon is the movie equivalent of what would happen if you traveled through the warp without a Geller field.
And yes, I had to reset my phone. Here's a pro tip. If you have a Bluetooth speaker, make sure you unplug it before you try to make a call.
Because it will automatically pair.
Yep. So, let's see. Is my full name that? Yes, it is. It looks like a fake name, but it's real. And it's not really good OPSEC, but I figured no one would care what my name actually is, and it's been on... You can find my real name, like, just for the Google search. I've Google searched my actual name. You can find it, so... But... Although, I'll be perfectly honest, the only reason I used my actual name was because, James Rolfe did, so I thought, like, that was what you're supposed to do. Back when I started back in 2009, so, yeah. Black hole. Travel through the warp without a... Oh, yeah, the Geller field. Also, I left my speaker, I left my headset on the Xbox heat vent, so this thing was, like, really hot. Okay. Continue leading the team, and I'll return.
Roger that. Basically, the Geller field is named after Uri Geller, famous for bending spoons, quote-unquote, psychically. Massive air quotes there. A lot of the things in 40K are yanked off of, ripped off of, paid homage to other things. The best case example, like I say, the Geller field, straight out of 40K, which is off of Uri Geller. The Inquisition, of course, is based off of the Spanish Inquisition of the Dark Ages. There's a lot of parable. 40K is what happens when you have... Yes, James Randi debunked Uri Geller completely. It's hilarious. If you haven't seen it or haven't seen it in a while, go rewatch it. It's on YouTube. But yeah, basically 40K started out as what happens when you get sci-fi geeks, tabletop geeks, and history geeks all together. It was just basically... Remember, Games Workshop started out as Ian Fleming and... not Ian Fleming. Sorry. Bleh, can't talk. Steve Jackson. Crap, I'm blanking right now. And I am really sorry. I am blanking on names right now because it's really freaking hot right now. But yeah, it was basically just, it started out in an apartment as, how do we make a game system for the existing D&D system, and let's see about making our own games. Budget 5.56 and 7.62 by 3.9. Wolf Performance Ammunition for 7.62 by 3.9. For 5.56, there's ZQI, and Federal
All right,
Lake City is still pretty cheap.
Now, maybe, just maybe, we'll actually get to shoot some demons. Okay, what did I miss?
Discussion on the start of Games Workshop in the late 70s, early 80s, and ammo.
Ooh. Also, I love this part here. There he goes. I almost jumped. I almost did. It takes a little while. Although, why they got the... that's a big spine. There's various chunks from a zombie that somehow can move. I don't know why he's upside down, but whatever. And then, of course, we have the awesome Doom 3 Revenant with the translucent skin. I saw that graphics flicker. I saw that. For shame, Doom 3. For shame.
Z-buffer fighting. It happens.
Yeah. You probably don't want me to unlock that, dude. You're probably gonna die by the time I get there. Oh yeah, this guy. Yeah, he dies before you even get there, so... Yep. There he goes. He just got eaten.
Deadliest demon in Doom? Archvile. Hands down.
Yeah, like those things can literally one-shot you in certain instances. With that flame attack?
Yeah, even if you've got good cover, if it's a map that has a lot of enemies, Archvile can just ruin your day. The others deal more direct damage, but the Archvile's harder to deal with.
So you want to about the 40k thing? Yeah, 40k, man. That's a franchise I never thought I'd actually get to discuss with anybody when I first discovered it, because it was really obscure back around 2000. It was obscure where I was, I should say, back around 2004 when I discovered it.
And now this is where I feel old, because I've been playing... But I can't say I've been playing 8th edition 40k, because I've been mostly Horus Heresy as of late, but I've been playing 40k for almost 30 years.
It's just kind of hilarious, though. I've never played it once, but I've read a lot of the books. I'm a big fan of the books, actually. Early 40k is very different from late 40k, in that late 40k tends towards grimdark, whereas early 40k was very much a black comedy, like the super blackest of comedies. Because like there's one story. No, go on.
Yeah, go for it.
Because there's one story I read called Pawns of Chaos. It's where there's a planet, the Eye of Terror. It's very early. I think it's like it's like book 5 of the 40k books. There's a planet, the Eye of Terror, and some Imperial ships crash landed upon it. And there's like this civil war going on there now. And ultimately, to spoil the book, what ends up happening at the end of the book, a demon gets unleashed, which destroys some other Imperial ships that then take the place of the earlier Imperial ships which had gotten destroyed. So basically it was just one big circle where nothing was accomplished.
Yep, 40k in a nutshell. There's moments of joy, but they were quickly crushed.
The only real positive 40k books out there are the Kane novels, which now aren't that amazing. I've not read the last one because I refused to pay almost $30 for a 200-page book. Games Workshop, and that's for the ebook version. The ebook version is literally like $30. It's like, are you joking, Games Workshop? Are you joking?
Oh no, they're deadly serious. You want to see horror? See what it costs to get into Horus Heresy.
It's probably like $100 a model. You had to pay $100 for an arm.
If we're talking Titan arm, yes. Good example, the my Mammoth for any Astartes Legion. That's a $400 model.
Oh, that's just ridiculous.
Oh, the books are just as bad. I mean, Book 8, which was supposed to feature the Dark Angels rule set, but they pushed that back, so we're probably going to be waiting another 2-3 years. As opposed to the waiting period we've had thus far, which has been 8 years for rules. Yeah. It's gonna... Book 8 costs $120.
What?
Yeah.
I thought paying like $40 or $50 for a used copy was too much.
Oh, the ebook price is not much better. It's $80.
That's just insane. That should drive players away, but I'm sure there's still people dumb enough to pay it.
Well, as bad as it is, and don't get me wrong, it's pretty bad. It could always be worse. It could be 8th edition. 8th edition is a complete and utter Charlie Foxtrot. As for age, late 30s.
And you will never find it.
Oh, shut up, Petruger. I don't care if it's in hell. It's more like it's probably an alien dimension, but whatever. Also, those commandos look a lot like the character Rogue Trooper, which that's a property so obscure. Actually, it's not that obscure. That was the PS2 game that got fairly popular.
No, the comic's obscure. The property is not so much obscure.
But I bet if you ask, like, oh yeah, do you know of Rogue Trooper? Who? And
Well, it depends. If I ask any of my U.S. friends, I'll have 3 that answer that know it.
Yeah.
If I ask any of my British friends, oh yeah, they'll tell you. Oh yeah, it's freaking great, mate.
And let's see, what happened to my video on Christian? I took that down because it annoyed me. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I took it down. I deleted it myself of my own volition. Why? It's a video on some guy who has multiple mental problems, who makes an ass out of himself on the internet, and he got 20k views. That's why I took it down, and I don't regret it.
If you want to look up Christian, there's plenty of stuff on that. You can go to Kiwi Farms and knock yourself out for a week.
It's just, I can't... I did that when I was, like, roasting my brain on grief. So, yeah. To me, it's like, that got too popular for what it was. I put days, weeks of work into, like, a much better video no one watches. But I rattle off about... I basically just read an article on some idiot named Christian. People love it. I don't know. I don't care, but it got deleted because fuck that shit. It's like, I'm an artist. No, not really. I'm an artist. It's artistic integrity. To quote Seinfeld, you're not an artist and you have no integrity. And hello, Corey.
Oh, but he did have a Mac.
I
Which
know.
is rather unusual for a comedian to be able to afford.
Well, it was Seinfeld. Oh my god, he got old! He must have just watched Captain Marvel.
Oh.
Let's see, but... You know, I'm such a nerd that I know some of the games that are on, like, the Seinfeld game shelf. He had, like, Sim City and a few other games like that, so... When he got time to play that, I do not know. I still need to play SimCity 1. I've only played SimCity 4, and I thought it was pretty good, actually. That's...
SimCity 1 is not going to impress you much, but the simplicity of it might just see you hooked.
A Doom snap map, eh? Well, keep at it. Oh, yeah, the Joker. Okay, I actually just watched the Burton Batty, the Bat Birdie, just yesterday, actually. Oh, crap. Hey, he survived! Well, he didn't survive very long. I don't even remember that. I don't remember that guy being there. But I love how, like, ultimately it took him getting fried by an imp to die when he got, like, his whole stomach shredded by that Z-Sec. They make those scientists tough in the future, I guess.
Seems like.
Let's see, what other comment? Well, there's a cool name, Hunter McDaniel. Let's see. How did you find out about Chris Chan? Through something completely random. I think I've saw it on Reddit before Reddit went SJW. Eagle Scout project. You know, I didn't even know the Scouts even still had that. I would have thought they would have gotten rid of that because it was, you know,
Decontamination chamber sequence initiated.
too merit-based. And we all know how SJWs hate merit. Yeah, I never actually joined any kind of organization like that as a kid. I was not a joiner then, and I'm not a joiner now. Although I do respect anyone who can go through all the various steps necessary to become one. But yeah, Jim,
As for
go on.
world's first fully functional homicidal artist, Vlad Tepes would argue that.
Yeah. You see, that's kind of a crazy thing when you think about it. I want to get back onto Batman, but like, okay, what we consider like criminally insane today, at certain times throughout history, would have been seen as completely normal. I mean, the very idea that killing somebody is a bad thing, that's actually a fairly recent concept. I mean, you go back, you know, a couple thousand years, you know, somebody like Ed Gein would actually be considered somewhat normal to a few people, at least.
That's still repulsive. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to go over for dinner.
Hey, you never know, just don't ask what's in it. But that aside, let's see, surprise you. The thing about joining something like that is, like, I just don't really have the mindset. I gotta admit, this is something that pains me to admit it. I don't think I'd be aggressive enough to actually be a Marine. Like, I could be aggressive, but that's on a whole other level from something I could be, I think.
It just depends on it. I mean, heck, I tried all 4 branches. I aced ASVAB. Problem is, I got 4F due to damage to my right eye.
I don't think I actually could have even joined up just because I have flat feet and really horrible eyesight. I mean, I would have had the physicality, I would have had the shooting ability, but, I don't know. I don't really regret not joining up, to be perfectly honest, especially with politics the way they are.
Decontamination process
And just the officer corps apparently being really, really interesting, let's say.
Decontamination complete. Have a nice day.
Well, at the very least, we've brought back the... Well, I say brought back. We've adjusted and semi-brought back the World War II U.S. Army uniforms, so...
Ooh, that guy got smashed.
Marine. Everyone is dead, and soon you will join them.
Oh, Betruger, just calm down. Such a spaz. Oh, wait, that's Raycast. Or it's offensive. Which is synonymous, right?
Well, he's going to turn into a literal demon, so I don't think it matters that you offend him. He's not human at that point.
Well, he's human impaired, right? Oh, I can think of a few people that are humanity
Access
impaired.
granted.
But wait, that's neither here nor there. But let's see, where was I? Yeah, Tim Burton's Batman. That is a film that has stayed the test of time, except for a few scenes which have aged very, very badly. Most notably, anything to do with the Batwing. Oh my God, that looked bad. I mean, back in 2000, back in 1990, back in 1989. Wow, I'm getting all my decades mixed up.
Time flies.
Yeah, I know. Back in '89, it would have looked great, but today...
Back in '89, it did look great. I remember seeing it in theaters.
Really? Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my question is, okay, back in '89, the most superhero stuff you actually had was Superman and Batman 60. So, what was your reaction to seeing something like that for the first time?
As it sounds, it basically is like, holy crap, we finally got a comic book movie. It's been ages. Woot! We go into it, it's like, okay, how are they going to screw this up? Let's watch this be like the, the West version of Batman. Where's the comedic punch? And it's like, no, there is none. It's played straight.
And it really just holds up surprisingly well. There's a few scenes that they would never do today. Most notably the Prince scene with the music there. But
yes, but Prince at least realized, hey, wait, I've got a massive audience. I'm a comic book fan. Let's milk this.
It works quite well. And I actually think that's one of the better aspects of Tim Burton's Batman, in that it actually has humor, whereas so much of modern Batman is so humorless.
Destroy the bridge.
And I'm a big fan of Michael Keaton's Batman and Bruce Wayne. Because he brings a level of quirkiness that you just don't get in literally any other incarnation of the character.
Yeah, everybody else tries to play him off as this, stick up butt straight guy.
And in this, it's like he actually has these things called emotions. And Michael Keaton is an excellent actor. I mean, I like him in just about anything he's in. And he did an absolutely amazing job. Actually, he actually seemed he seemed a little crazy. That was the thing that I really liked, is that Batman's just a little more unhinged in this than normal. And he does kill people. A lot of people.
He kind of has no choice.
And, well, see, not only that, but it's like, it would make sense for Batman to, potentially kill the Joker just because the Joker's too dangerous to leave alive. That is a constant debate amongst nerd culture in that, should Batman kill the Joker? And the answer is yes!
The answer is, new Batman won't, because the writers won't allow it, because they have to keep the storyline going on. Old Batman, killed him dead.
I mean, he's basically a walking WMD at this point, and it would just not make sense for him to constantly be led. They've tried to justify it by saying, well, if Batman does it, he'll become a murderer for some reason.
Never mind that in canon, Batman has murdered several times. He left KG Beast alone, sealed up in an unused section of Gotham City's subway that he sealed himself. Batman sealed him off, left him to starve to death.
So, yeah. But if he got rid of Joker, then you wouldn't have all the money, and that's all that matters.
Decontamination process.
Let's see.
started.
Watch all 4 Batman films
Primary
in theaters.
system failure.
Not bad.
System
I need to
shutdown.
rewatch Batman and Robin
Backup
and possibly do
systems
some kind of
online.
video on that at some point. The only 2 people who showed up for Batman Forever. Batman Forever wasn't that bad, especially compared to Batman and Robin. I mean, Batman and Robin is just unironically
Maintenance
bad.
personnel needed in chamber.
I mean, it's not even so bad it's good. It's one of those movies that drags, especially towards the middle part of the film.
I just find it as tonal whiplash compared to Burton films. Like
Well-
you go from Burton, who's taking it, it's like, okay, let's have a semi-real world approach, and then you have, those 2 films, and it's like, okay, let's take lighting and camera angles directly from the comics. It's like, no.
Well, it's not just that, but like, Batman and Robin does have some moments where a good movie kind of shines through. The stuff with Alfred is really good, but the rest is just so stupid. It's like, why would the Bat Boots have, ice skates? Did they know they were gonna fight Mr. Freeze there?
Well, it falls into the whole Deus Ex Machina. With Superman, it's, oh, what superpower can I pull out of my butt this time? With Batman, it is, what improbable gadget do I have on me at this time?
Exactly. And Hunter, I'm doing quite well. Just working and all the rest. Let's see. Always wondered why the Galactic Empire used the TIE Fighter. Because they're cheap.
It's
And-
because the logistics is a pain in the butt, and as grand as the Empire was, they didn't have infinite anything. Everybody in Star Wars universe is working on finite resources, finite manpower, and finite money.
I see that's something that people seem to forget about even Star Trek, is that the replicators have to have replicator matter to actually work. And that's canon,
Yeah,
by
but
the way.
It is canon, but thankfully the replicator recharge, components are fairly cheap and common. So while everything is still finite, we are still in an Einsteinian universe. It's the fact that we are post-scarcity in Star Trek. And I say that quite literally, post-scarcity. Nothing outside of Latinum is genuinely scarce, but it is still finite.
And I think the reason they didn't take advantage of graduated from Strive, I have no clue what that is. And happy birthday, Hunter. And they
Happy
would have.
birthday.
I don't think they would have taken advantage of the TIE Defenders or TIE Fighters, because any kind of dictatorial government like that doesn't want their generals or admirals having too much power.
Well, it's not just that. It's the fact that they were, by the time of the Battle of Yavin, that was their same problem as Nazi Germany. It just came too late.
Now, why they didn't have it by the time of the Yuzhan Vong War, now that's another thing entirely.
Now, then by the time of the Yuzhan Vong, then they're really kind of scraping for supplies and trying to keep things together with spit and duct tape.
Well, I figured by that point, since they had peace, they'd be able to start doing some R&D here and there.
Yeah, but think about it, of the end of World War II, because it actually does parallel nicely with Star Wars, or real Star Wars, not Disney Wars. After World War II, we had Operation Paperclip here in the West, but there's a lot of scientific designs that were just lost. A lot of prototype weapons which went to other nations, some which made it, some which did not. And it didn't. The best case example for bolt-action rifles, it was never fielded by the Germans, but it was developed in Germany. The ball-bearing locked bolt-action rifle. That didn't come back into vogue in Germany until 15 years ago. And the thing is, it's a cheaper way to design an exceptionally accurate, exceptionally repeatable action for a bolt-action rifle.
I saw that Forgotten Weapons had done something on that, but I didn't actually watch the video.
Well, they covered the sporting side of it, and I'm not going to fault Ian at all because he does actually really good coverage on it. It's actually a very cost-effective way to make a good bolt-action rifle. But the thing is, it's like, the thing that will keep me from buying it is they don't offer one in left hand, and even though they really should, because that's even simpler than any other locking system. It's universal. You can have it lock left or right. You just have to change the receiver tail end. And the fact that those things that get imported to the U.S., you can do it, but they're not cheap.
I wouldn't think. And we've got the two Hell Knights. I really like the portal design in this. Okay, now here's my question. Okay, so I've got the plasma rifle. Also, who is this guy? I mean, it's like, were they already doing an experiment beforehand? And if they were, why was there a massive cascade failure? Also, why can't I shoot him? You tell me that plasma rifle can't get through that glass? Now this is a somewhat difficult boss fight if you just kind of stand there. Circle strafing will save you sometimes, or you can potentially get raped in the corner. Me too. Me too. Oh wait, that's just terrible. Let's see. And I haven't gone to hell yet. They won't let me go. I don't know why. No, I don't start it. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to start a new game. I wasn't paying that close attention. Let's see. Scary but the Vong. Basically, they were the ultimate enemy for Star Wars. So they were good at everything. They had better technology, and it was all organic. And they basically killed everyone.
Think a cross between, let's say, just below a Space Marine and mix it in with a Tyranid. There you go. Yuzhan Vong.
Yeah, I think they were a little too powerful. They were basically Bioborg, as I like to call them, because every sci-fi franchise needs its ultimate enemy. And the Vong was it, although this kind of came out of nowhere. I've actually kind of thought about Star Wars a bit more recently, and I wonder if they were even necessary.
No, not at all. You're basically taking something that really is best served for political intrigue, and you're basically throwing in, oh, here's this massive horde enemy that we came from unknown space and we know next to nothing about at the start, and they're here to basically just wreck crap.
Yeah. Also, I absolutely love the hell in this game. And that thing is fucking creepy looking. I mean, this is a much cleaner burning hell, I'll tell you what, than Doom 2016. Just like ISP.
escape their prison and drive mankind into darkness.
Wouldn't you mean just extinct, but whatever?
Fears will soon be realized.
Now, my question is this, though. Like, is the guy talking to us, you know, like, is that Satan? Is that Betruger? Is that the Cyber Demon? Is Cyber Demon Satan? That's never really explained.
Oh yeah, it's left ambiguous on a reason.
And that is a really cool design, by the way. The whole thing here is just so much better designed than Doom 2016. I mean, this actually looks legitimately creepy, whereas Doom 2016 seems kind of like an album cover, which is not a bad thing, but it's kind of a different tone.
Well, if you're going with the album cover, as much as the standard soundtrack is there, really, if you're going for the whole album cover thing, you gotta have genuine, true metal.
Yeah, that's true. That was, you know, kind of just dubsteppy metal kind of thing.
Well, it wasn't really dubstep, but it's more experimental.
It's catchy, just because when you're me, trying to find music that you actually like is not an easy prospect, because I have a very strange taste in music. Now, one thing that might not be readily apparent just watching this on stream is that id Software actually went ahead and made special hell versions of the regular enemies. That I thought was really bloody awesome, because it's like it's not that much of a change, but it shows they had a significant attention to detail. Random question: am I ever going to play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines? I don't know. Maybe one day. I haven't scheduled it for 2020, so there's that. But one day I might. It's just finding time to do it. 2020, I'm gonna stick with more. Oh crap! I am fucked. I am so. Oh, I didn't save either. Oh wait, somehow I killed him. I guess enough buckshot to the face will take down anything. Save, save, save.
Rules to live by.
And Icon of Sin. So how deadly and well trained were you post battle? Oh, we're post battle of Indoor Stormtrooper compared to before Indoor. Probably a little better, because I think the pre-Indoor Stormtroopers were primarily Flash clones.
No, Battle of Endor. They're not really Flash clones. There are some clones amongst the group, but by that time, they were really kind of bringing in anybody they could. They didn't have enough time to fully train them to the degree of the first clones.
That's it. The Imperial Army versus the Imperium of Man Army would they die a lot, like a lot. I mean,
yeah, but Imperial Man versus the Imperial Army, I'm gonna have to give it to the Imperium of Man, even if it's just Imperial Guard alone.
Well, because they'd be a little better trained, a little more. They'd have a greater killer instinct than the Stormtroopers. The Stormtroopers.
No, not even that. The Imperial Stormtroopers, they go through a pretty good training regimen. The thing is that the Imperial Guard, when they show up to a system, they show up bringing everything they need to build lasguns, build lasgun packs. While the Empire, which I know, the Star Wars Empire, under Palpatine, their weapons work off Tabana gas.
Which only Lando makes. I think in a few other places too, but still.
Cloud City's the biggest producer, but you cut off the Tabana gas, and yeah, Empire steamrolls at that point.
Yeah, they'd be screwed. And that's not even getting into Stormtroopers. It's kind of like there's a really excellently written fanfic. See, not all fanfic is bad. There's some good stuff out there. But Halo versus the Galactic Empire. And basically, well, they kind of give a little bit of a buff to Halo with a little better engines. No shield still, but a little... They actually kind of get the Mac guns right. The Mac guns in Halo really, in the original books, aren't really 100% accurate. They should be somewhat more powerful. Well, a lot more powerful. Oh, shit. Well, I just fell into infinity. But that only takes off 80... That only takes off negative 82 points, though. So Doom Guy must be tough.
Survive an infinite fall, yeah.
So why can't he get shot? Why can't he be damaged just by a skull crashing into him? That's the best question. But, let's see, where was I? Why did the Imperial Republic not invest in camouflage? Because camouflage is for cowards!
Well, that and the fact that their armor system, it's actually designed to take the hit of your standard blaster and have the soldier survive. Camo can work with it, but to take the full brunt of the charged ionized Tivana gas, you really want to make sure there's not much of a coating on there. So whatever camo that could apply would just wear off.
And also it's caliber. But yeah, the Halo story was actually quite good, but also buffed a little bit of the Halo ships. The Mac guns should be much more powerful because like a chunk of steel going at a fraction of C should hit way, way harder than it does in any of the games and early books.
Well, yeah, it's a mass driver.
So, yeah. And in that particular fanfic, when the Spartans go up against Stormtroopers, the Stormtroopers just die a lot because the Spartans are just that. The Spartans are much more powerful than the games would lead you to believe. Since they,
that's why there's so few of them. It's, otherwise, you wouldn't have much of a story.
Yeah, because they're basically Goku compared to your typical enemies. Halo 2 wasn't as bad as Destiny 2. I've not played any of the Destiny games, just because they don't look particularly good. Let's see. And hello, Lost One. And let's see here. What else did I miss? Yeah, I don't hate Destiny. I just never played it because it did not look entertaining at all. I mean,
if I'm going to grind like that, I'm going to play Warframe.
I actually played Warframe when it came out, and I didn't find it to be particularly amazing. So it's just, I don't really get into those multiplayer shooters altogether that much. I didn't even like Borderlands, and I'm not going to be getting Borderlands 3 when it comes out either. Shit.
I really couldn't suggest Borderlands 3. Number one, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to rate it because I'm already very, very well known for having a serious gripe against Randy Pitchford. Personal gripe, will not be discussed here. Let's just say here's the reason why I'd no longer go to Forney, Grapevine Mills, and parts of Dallas. And I avoid Frisco altogether.
So, yeah. For me, I don't have anything against Randy Pitchford except for Colonial Marines, but I never liked Borderlands 1, 2, or even the pre-sequel. I thought the pre-sequel was actually the best of the lot just because it had a fairly decent story, although it wasn't that amazing. And I really quite liked the space mechanics. But even then, it's just a mediocre shooter that, for some reason, people like, and I'm not entirely sure why. It's like,
because it's good with friends, I suppose. But then again, watching paint dry can be entertaining with friends.
Yeah. I have played a lot of games with friends, and that one wasn't even remotely in the running as one of the better ones. So it's like, I don't really see the appeal. It's just the gameplay's dull, the story's dull, the levels are, everything about it is just dull. It's like, and Claptrap offends me on several levels. Obviously the character's annoying, but the reason why I don't like the character is because it's trying to be annoying. They were trying to write an annoying character that would be memorable, and they were trying too hard, and then they really hyped that character to the point where it's one of those things where it really shouldn't be. It should be obvious what it is, and what it is a marketing thing, and it's just, it angers me. And somebody actually got, oh crap, fucking demon babies. So yeah, Not a big fan. And somebody actually got married with, like, somebody dressed up as Claptrap. It's like, what?
People are gonna be stupid. Trust me, it happens. Also, Keegan, I can't change your mind on that. Well, maybe I can. And I'll do it this way. Randy Pitchford did not ruin Colonial Marines. You want to know why? It's because he wasn't involved with it. It was a money laundering operation. He took the money intended for that, passed it off to somebody else, and he ran with the money.
Well, I didn't know that. So now I just like him even more. Doomslayer is more powerful than Spartans. Yeah, probably. Potentially. At least be able to be exposed to hell energy better. And yes, I am going to play Rage 2 at some point. Because it looks like it's decent. But if I'm 100% honest, the only reason I'm really playing it is so I can review it in 2020 and get all those sweet, sweet views. Because, you know, as is well known, I do not like Rage 1. God damn it! Again. I do not like Rage 1 just because I feel it's really generic. I feel like there's so little game in that game.
It's a tech demo.
Well, not even that. It is definitely that, but it's like the story is just sort of a rehash of Borderlands and Fallout. You've got the bandits from Borderlands, and you have the post-apocalypse from Fallout. And
I'll state, it's a tech demo for mega textures. It does that well, and it does animations well. That's about it.
Yeah, the animations were pretty good, but even then, you can't build a game just based around good animations. That being said,
And
though...
Jason? Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, that being said, I think one of the reasons why that game was so short is they spent all the money on John Goodman. Because, like, you know whatever game you're going to play is either going to be a cutscene fest or it's going to be about 2 hours long when you have a major Hollywood actor as one of the characters. Because as soon as I heard that voice, it's like, yep, this game's going to be like 2 hours long. And, yeah, that game is really, really, really short.
And Jason, to answer your question, what did he use the money for? Originally, his plan was to use it for Borderlands 2, which he sort of did, but the real answer to that question was he didn't get to use it for much. He got to use it a little bit on Borderlands 2, and the rest of it he got scammed out of.
Why am I not surprised? Yeah, when you say he used it on Borderlands 2, he, like, used it on, like, odd texture.
Oh no, he used it for the skeleton system. Problem is that he had to convince the voice actors to take and the staff to take half pay. He got scammed out of a lot of it due to his assistant, and some of the money was spent, you know, towards his wife's diner, which is this haughty, horrible little hole in the wall in Frisco, Texas, which is not worth eating at, by the way.
I would not be surprised. Also, speaking of eateries that aren't worth eating at, evidently there was a restaurant, a vegan restaurant no less, in Australia that shut down because they charged like a man tax or something. Couldn't have happened to a nicer group, just saying.
Yeah. They made that bed, they get to sleep in it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to sleep in the bed of a feminist, I can tell you that.
Oh no, you generally don't want to go into bed crazy.
Exactly. Eclipse instructions. Yeah, the Eclipse Star Dreadnought was pretty nice. Although, building something of that size, where are you going to put it? I considered for a little while buying up a bunch of those cheap weapons before they went out of business due to a lawsuit. But ultimately I decided against it for one major reason. Where the hell am I going to put multiple 4-foot-long models? I would need like a whole room devoted just to that.
That or you better find the studs in your ceiling and put them up there with 30-pound test line.
Yeah. And even then, your entire ceiling is going to be like covered by like 2 of those bloody things. So, yeah, that's a big problem with big models. And yeah, Dark Empire did have some nice vehicles. Dark Empire is much better than what people say it is. I mean, yeah, it's not the Thrawn trilogy, but it never wanted to be. It wanted to be, you know, this science fantasy thing And it works really well. And I'm going to die because I've got 1 health, and I'm using a chainsaw on a Hell Knight. Yep, and he killed me.
Living on the edge.
Let's see. Yeah, the E-Wings. Those E-Wings, you know, one day, when I have a lot of money, I will drop $100 on one of those Action Fleet E-Wings. Had I known those things would be that rare, I would have gotten one back in the 90s. So, yeah. The E-Wing's a cool concept, but it's one of those things where it would make sense for, like, the New Republic to actually, you know, use those things versus the X-Wing. But it's just, it's marketing that wins out. It's like, well, they gotta use the X-Wing because that's what they used in the Star Wars, so they can't use the new thing that no one knows about. It actually reminds me
Or, you know, you could have just written a scene, you know, showing them upgrading. You know, have your main heroes in the E-Wings and have your disposable mooks in X-Wing.
Yeah, but that would take too much effort. Back to the Yuuzhan Vong, though. Initially, I really liked them. Because, as bad as they are, and believe me, they're not that good, Star Wars writing was still really good at that time. And so they really sold them pretty well. But the more you think about it, the more you realize it's like, wait a minute. These guys we've never heard of before, they're the ones that are going to kill all the major characters, wipe out all the major planets. I think they just went way too far, because the New Jedi Order really does completely erase everything that happened in the original trilogy. I mean, everything that happened is entirely pointless because of it.
Yeah. They wrote themselves into a corner.
It's just, there's no... It would have made sense if they did try their Empire Resurgence kind of thing. I really get the feeling they were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel at that point, because I think the Yuuzhan Vong came out around 99, I want to say?
Yeah, around 99. I remember I was out of high school by the time I really started reading in.
It's one of those things where if people could actually end franchises, Star Wars really should have ended with Timothy Zahn's vision of the future. You know, where they signed the Imperial/New Republic treaty. I mean, that's it. It's done. Everything's finished. There's no more story to really tell at that point.
Well, there's no main story. What you can do, though, is within that, you can tell plenty of side stories. You can tell personal stories.
That could work. The problem is when you carry on a franchise, usually most of your favorite characters die or get changed irrevocably. So, I don't know. That's just one of those problems with franchises in general. Well, I think I'm probably screwed here, because I gotta get it just right. Oh yeah, the TIE-Ds. You know, they actually did have some legit Legos released for that. Like back in the late 90s. Now, what's really sad about Star Wars, though, is, yeah, Disney made it way worse than it ever was, but Star Wars was getting bad even as early as, like, 2000 shit. 2000 shit, that's a year you probably didn't know existed. Around 2007, I should say. With the release of, what was it? Legacy of the Force Betrayal, I think is what it was. I actually pre-ordered that book. Basically, after the New Jedi Order series ended around 2004, there weren't really any more sequel trilogy books until like 2006. And one of the big problems was that was when they were really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Now, they did have one of those side stories with the, they introduced a new bug enemy, and it was okay, but then they kind of turned Jaina Solo into, like, what is effectively a space JW because she, like, joined it because it's like, we're a community, man. And it's like, really? Is that what we wanted to see her turn into? One good thing that came out of the Dark Nest trilogy was Luke finally got to see his mother get killed. Which, I gotta admit, was actually a pretty emotional scene. Because at that time, he didn't even know who his mother even was. But that's one of those things that had to be done really retroactively because, you know, we didn't actually see Padme get killed until 2005, so we couldn't have learned it any time earlier, so...
Yeah.
There's that, but the Legacy of the Force series was absolutely terrible. Now, the books weren't that poorly written, but the very idea was. Basically, by 2007, they were really out of ideas. I mean, like, they had no clue what they were doing at that point, because Legacy of the Force, all it was, and I knew this at the time, and that's why I pretty much stopped reading the sequel stuff. All it was just, let's rewrite the original trilogy again. Let's have, somebody fall to the dark side, and they gotta fight him. And I'm like, really? It's just the same thing again. What was the point of that?
Yeah, the thing is, they had a good thing going with aping Arthurian legend for the episode 4, 5, and 6. Problem is, you can't be a one-trick pony. It's just the more you rehash ground you've already covered, the more obvious it gets.
Yeah, they're just not. Star Wars is dead, but it was already dying to begin with, and Disney just killed it entirely. Like I said earlier, I did see some scenes of not Fate of the Jedi, Last Jedi. There we go. And it's like, I did not, since I refused to watch any of that, I didn't know how bad Carrie Fisher's voice was. My God, she sounded old in that. I mean, yes, she's dead, and I should be sad, and I am, but did anyone else notice just how old she sounded? She sounded like a grandma. I'm not even... It's like... I know I'm probably offending everybody, but seriously, though, is that what
time passes, and unless you really take care of your voice, and by take care of your voice, I mean see a vocal coach and do some serious work, yeah, age has its inflections. It's going to take its toll.
Your soul.
Damn. So, yeah, eventually I will watch not Fate of the Jedi, Last Jedi. I don't want to remember the name. Let's see.
Trust me, when you're done, you won't want to remember it either.
Tis true. Now, on a completely unrelated note from Star Wars, and actually something good, there is an anime that I watched about a week ago that I highly recommend. That is something completely different from anything I would normally watch. Basically, I'm still continuing my Studio Ghibli watch. And so I watched a film that I didn't really know what I was getting into, and damn is all I can say. Basically, it is a film known as... I thought that was a portal. Probably shouldn't jump into the fire there. A film known as When Marnie Was There. I had no clue what it was about, but it sounded somewhat interesting. It is basically the anime equivalent of a chick flick, but one that is actually worth watching. Really, I don't want to give any spoilers, though, because the less you know about it, the better.
It is true. I'm trying to think how you could go about that without spoiling it, but there's not a lot of ways.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. Even I started to get choked up. Started to get choked up towards the end. Let me put it that way. Like, if you've never watched, like, a chick flick before... Also, Berserker Pack! If you've never watched a chick flick before, you might not like it at first. But I'm telling you, give it a chance, and, it's well worth watching. If only for the animation, although the story is also quite good. Studio Ghibli is really quite good with their animation. It's like...
That's the reason why Disney's been trying to ape their crap for ages and failing miserably.
Yeah, but that's Disney for you. Speaking of Disney, we of course have the live-action Aladdin coming out soon, and... Oh, man, that's...
I'm sorry, but I'm boycotting. I'm not reviewing that.
I don't know if I want to even see it, much less have to talk about it. I think it's going to be done by Guy Ritchie, who is a director that I'm normally a fan of, but man, that looks...
You can't say that. It's like the remake of Mary Poppins. I don't care if you hire Steven Spielberg and you manage to resurrect the ghost of Scorsese, you're not saving what an animated property that, was back in Disney's heyday and turning it into a live-action film where Disney no longer cares.
Not only that, but it's like, I get that, Will Smith is a funny guy, but he's no Robin Williams. Let's just put it that way.
No. No one is.
And I think that was a losing proposition from the start in that, why even try to make a new genie when you're not going to even approach the quality of what had come before? I mean, he's trying, but his best just isn't really good enough. Disney SW that are somewhat passable are Rogue One and Rebels. Favorite studio, Spirited Away. I still got to see that,
Yes, you do.
and I have it. I just got to see it. Just haven't had a chance to watch it. Let's see. I was going to try. There's some decent ships. The Ghost, TIE Stalker, U-Wing, and Mining Guild TIE Fighter. You know, I haven't seen any of those. The U-Wing doesn't look that amazing, though. Also, I don't get why Rebels love to call all their starfighters wings. It's actually kind of a hilarious thing when you think about it, though. The X-Wing, of course, shouldn't be called that. Because it looks like an X. So wait, are they really speaking English? Or what? See, that's always...
Well, here's the thing. It's not English, it's common. And it... Basically, the whole storyline is that if not for the fact of story experience, common would be indecipherable to us. It would be... it would be another alien dialect. We would have no clue how it's spoken, how you read it. But for the sake of, okay, the audience has to understand this, they have to give it a loose translation English.
And it just so happens that the X-Wing looks kind of like an X. Although it could be called something different. It could be called, like, the Type 64 Starfighter. And the X-Wing is just something that's, like, the translators added for ease of... make it easier to remember, I guess. But then you have some issues, like in some of the books, though. Like, there's a Star Destroyer called the Night Hammer, with a K. So it's like, once again, I guess it could be a translation of something that's alliterative in that language.
It is, but the real answer to it, not giving the more official answer, but the actual real-world answer is marketing, marketing, marketing. Merchandising.
And Star Wars was good at that. And Lucas spent a shitload of money on those toys, that is for sure. And if only Kenner had been smart, they could have kept that license and we wouldn't get the Hasbro crap we get today. Although I say that, and allow me to grab that real quick. In the Bounty Hunter review, I'm going to be using my Black Series. This is where I become kind of a hypocrite. But in my defense, it's just because I'm lazy. Okay? It's just because I'm lazy. Here's my Black Series Jango Fett. And this month's review is Bounty Hunter. And I'm only using this Black Series Jango Fett because I can't find my other real Jango Fetts. I have no clue what box they're in. And so I knew where this one was. So I grabbed it, and yeah. And I will admit, I have been using some of my Black Series figures simply because I know where that box is. So it's not hypocrisy, it's laziness. Let's see.
Shun.
I just can't waste the time.
I know, it's okay.
I have so many boxes of Star Wars figures because Star Wars, until it got really bad, was my favorite franchise of all time. So I have a shitload of Star Wars figures. So finding the right box is not easy. Like, I found the Clone Trooper box. That was good, but that's all I found. And that's not even... And the Clone Trooper box that I found wasn't even the Clone Trooper box with the Phase 1 Clone Troopers. It was the Phase 2s, because yes, I collected a shitload of those when Revenge of the Sith came out. Because, yeah, I'm a Star Wars nerd. Even of a franchise... Even when it came to the prequels, I had to collect the shit, because, it's Star Wars. I will still contend that the prequel ancillary media was way better than the actual prequel films. Also, you gotta love, we're in hell, and there's just wood. It's just wood. It's hell wood. From the hell trees. But go on.
Yes, the ancillary media for Star Wars was better than the movies. That being said, as I'll put up in the review, the movies, while not great at all, actually, they didn't do that much damage. The worst damage they did was midi-chlorians.
Yeah. I mean, the prequels are just bad movies, but they did give us a few things that were pretty good. And the books were always good. The prequel books were actually usually written by really talented writers. Episode 1 was Terry Brooks of Sword of Shannara fame. Episode 2 was R.A. Salvatore, of Drizzt and 8 million other things. And then episode 3 was Matt Stover, which was actually one of the best Star Wars books almost in general. I mean, it wasn't as good as, say, the Thrawn trilogy, but it was still extremely well written for what... I won't even say it was extremely well written for what it was. Like, if you never read Star Wars before and you read the episode 3 novelization, it would just be a good novel in general. Especially the end, talking about how Anakin is basically trapped in agony forever. It's like, holy crap, is this Star Wars? Is this something real?
Yeah, it got dark.
Yeah, and it was really quite amazing. Ready Player One. I still need to see that.
No. Oh, God. Prepare good... Grab good food afterwards, because you're going to want something that'll change the mood.
Oh, it's that bad? I saw, like, the first couple scenes... Okay, here's something hilarious. So, last year... I think it was last year. It might have been 2017. I went on a mini vacation to, Corpus Christi. And I brought my laptop so I could watch, some movies at night. And I thought I'd finally watch Ready Player One. And I watched, like, the first 30 minutes of it and fell asleep. I've never actually fallen... Well, okay, I've fallen asleep in a few movies, but it put me to sleep. I don't know if I was either tired or it was that boring. Could have been a bit of both, but... It looked like they were trying too hard to be nerdy. That's what it looked like to me. It's like, let's give them all the references! Here's,
It's exceptionally cringy.
And, like... The guy, not Steve Jobs guy. No, not Bill Gates. Like Great Value Bill Gates. That guy just like, oh my god, this is stupid. I'll watch it all the way through one day. I know it does have its fans, though. Let's see. Doom 3 runs better than Half-Life 2 on the Xbox. That it does. Legacy of the Force, and it's actually kind of confusing. It's not... Legacy of the Force was the novel series, whereas Star Wars Legacy was the comic series with Luke's junkie grandson. Which still annoys me. I get that he had a reason for it, but it still annoys me nonetheless.
Tasty, tasty death sticks.
And that's another series that just rendered everything that happened entirely moot. It rendered everything that happened after everything that happened entirely moot. It's like, okay, well, you got the struggle against the Empire. Oh, wait, surprise, they won again. It's like, is that what anyone really wanted to read? I know I didn't want to read it.
Yeah, it kind of became modern-day WWE at that point, where wins and losses barely matter. Hey, it's Michael Moore. I didn't know he cameoed in this game. Ugh, send him back to hell.
We're already in hell. There's no place for him to go.
Well then, we'll just have to seal him in concrete.
Crap. Fucking demon babies. They do way more damage than they really should. And, of course, I didn't save. Because who wants to do that? I don't know how far back I am. Shit. See, that's the only problem with this. Like, if I replay current level, how far back will I go? Yeah, let's just use the save anyway. Y-Wing is quite cool.
Godzilla? Yeah, kinda.
For me, I still prefer the Shin Godzilla to the American Godzilla.
Oh no, Toho is making a Japanese Godzilla. It's gonna be proper.
I did actually get to see Shin Godzilla in theaters. It was shown at Alamo Draft House, and it was a completely packed I'm all the way back here. You gotta be joking. But yeah, it was completely packed. I mean, I almost didn't even get a seat. It was so packed. And it was a much older audience, too. It wasn't like filled with a bunch of kids who never even had seen a Godzilla film before. And they got it.
It's the fact that, number one, it's Alamo Drafthouse, and number two, it's Godzilla. The kids generally don't get Godzilla. You're mostly going to find people like me who grew up watching the matinees on TV right after Saturday morning cartoons. Like, okay, I'm good with this.
I think the thing I like the most, though, is that Shin Godzilla was not... They basically have turned Godzilla into a superhero, which, you know, he was a superhero of a sort at one point, but I liked him when he was the villain, so, yeah.
With Toho, it kind of goes villain, hero, villain, hero. There'll be eras where Godzilla is the big bad. There'll be eras when Godzilla's the only thing that can save the Earth.
And I'm stuck. So that means I have to go all the way back again. Let's see, I've got 15 more minutes. No, restart. I got 15 minutes till I got to go. The co-op feature from this port, yeah, there was that, but then again, I never actually had Xbox Live with the original Xbox. I never played it co-op on this.
There were surprisingly very few people who did.
And yes, there is indeed aim assist in this, because it is a console game after all. The controller only does so much.
Yeah, the Half-Life for PlayStation didn't have aim assist, it had lock-on.
Yeah, I played Half-Life on PS2, and honestly, I didn't like it on there either, so... I'm just not a Half-Life fan. I never will be. It's just something about it. As I said in a previous stream, it is Apple of first-person shooters. So, I don't like Apple products, and I don't like Half-Life. I just am not neckbeardy enough to really appreciate it.
Oh no, there's nothing neckbeard about it. Anybody who tells you there is they're lying through their teeth. I like sequence breaking Half-Life. I'm not too big on the game itself. I've beaten it 5 times. I've had my fill.
I got a piece of Godzilla media until the Godzilla creepypasta. I'm not really sure what that even is. Is indeed the best Godzilla film of this modern era. Yeah. Now, talking about Godzilla, though, Godzilla is one of those things, a lot of people have heard of the character, but haven't really seen that many of the films, if any. And one of the reasons it's pretty easy to tell that that's the case is many people will complain about, oh god damn it. Oh wait, I didn't die by falling into the lava. You gotta love that. Like, okay, Doom 3 guy here is so tough, he can literally fall into demonic lava and barely take any damage.
It's really nice armor.
It's AR 900. Shit! It's AR 900. That's the best I got.
Well, that or, you know, Troy Hurtubise is on the design staff.
But wouldn't he be dead by that point?
Oh yeah, Troy would be long dead by that point.
And that's another thing that's kind of interesting about time passing. Body armor. I mean, it used to be, I think, like the only body armor that was actually any good was Second Chance. And then now Second Chance I don't think even exists anymore.
No, Second Chance got bought out. What's really surprised me is the weight of armor has changed so much. You compare like the original Aesop plates, which were 5 pounds of pop for a medium size, and if you dropped it, you're screwed. You're out. There you go. Your plate's ruined. Versus today's like Angel armor, it's a 1/4 pound per medium plate. Exact same protection. And you can drop it if you want.
Yeah. What's kind of interesting, though, is like some of the ammo that was designed to try to defeat that. Like the XM855A2. InRange did a test of that. And like the Russian plate was able to stand up to it, evidently.
Yeah. That round is a bad choice. It's just ill performing all around, and it ruins barrels.
Yeah,
As for Second Chance body armor, I don't know if I call it Mall Ninja, because it existed before Mall Ninjas.
I think that was also the armor that the inventor, I think, didn't he like make a, well, not a video, made like a recording of him like shooting himself in the chest with like a 357 Magnum, and it stopped it.
Yeah, he shot himself in the torso with a 44 Magnum, which is the dumbest thing ever. We have even back then we had tools that would register how much force is being exuded. There was no need for the point blank shot to his to his gut. Here's the thing that people don't understand about body armor. Yes, it will stop a bullet. Yes, it can save your life. But here's the problem. That energy still is going through you. It does no good if the bullet is stopped, but all your internal organs are now ruptured.
Yeah, a lot of people forget about that. Let's see. I guess the Force Darth Sidious was indeed better than Kylo Ren, but not by much.
At least Darth Sidious didn't throw temper tantrums left, right, and center.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to having to sit through a movie where Kylo Ren does it every 5 seconds. Because I saw that one where, like, the droid stole a freighter, and then, like, you would think that'd be the end of the scene, right? You'd think it would end at that point. But no, he pulls out his lightsaber. Okay, he's gonna cut the guy's head off. Okay, it's stupid, but... And then he proceeds to cut up his own computer? What kind of sense does that make?
Like I say, he's Darth Emo. He is the whiniest of whiny edgelords.
It's just... And then, you know, I'm gonna complain about this, too. This has nothing to do with Star Wars proper, but it has to do with modern-day films. Why don't they ever cast any actors over the age of, like, 20? Even when it would make sense. Like, okay, case in point, you've got, you know, J.J. Trek. I'm actually much more sympathetic to J.J. Trek than you might otherwise think.
I'm not.
Because, like, it's not that horrible. I mean, it could be Discovery. Let's put it that way.
That's like saying, you know, breaking your leg is better than getting syphilis. It's true, but you don't want to do either.
Yeah, I like the sword scene with, you know, you got Sulu and he's doing the sword fight. I like that. But anyway.
Yeah, we had Sulu doing the sword fight in the original series.
Yeah, but it wasn't a flippy sword. And that was awesome.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, but of more importance, though, is Chris Pine and all the rest were way too young for their roles. I'm just gonna come out and say, like, okay, wait, he's like 20. Why would you ever follow a captain that's 20 years old? I hate to admit this, but when I was 20, I was a complete idiot. Okay, maybe I wasn't as bad as most, but when I look back on those days, especially today, I'm like, my God, how did I live being that dumb? And so, like, why would you make a captain of a starship like 20 years old? It's like, okay, you know, the original Captain Kirk, he was like 30. Okay, that makes more sense. When you're 30, you're significantly more intelligent than 20. Only now do I realize the idea of, like, now, some... God damn it, fucking demon baby. But still, though. Like, only now do I realize that, like, teen heroes... In most instances, some teens could actually be advanced and intelligent enough to pull it off, but most teen heroes are not going to do what they do in the movies, because they're not smart enough to do it.
It's the scale of story. Like, a teenager, yeah, I could see, you know, small personal conflict, even up to a city-sized conflict. That would be their maximum. They're not going to have logistical planning to handle anything larger than that. They're going to be a little bit more impulsive.
Now, you know, some people can, you know, potentially be, you know, a little more mature, but more often than not, they're not. That's something that that's something that took me until age 30 to be able to admit that maybe I wasn't that intelligent. Well, not that intelligent, but like that mature at age 20. Like, man, I thought I was like way smarter than everything and everyone. And like I would have said back then. Am I going?
The arrogance of youth, it happens.
But see, back then I would have been like, well, it's not arrogance. It's like, I know that I'm fallible, but it's like, yeah, well...
Well, arrogance doesn't mean infallibility, or assumed infallibility. Arrogance is just basically self-assuredness taken to a little bit too far.
And that certainly was the case back then. It's kind of interesting. Once I've reached 30, I've been able to look back at my life and like see some of the mistakes. It's like, how was I ever that green? How was I ever that how was I? God damn it! How could I possibly?
That simple. Nobody was ever given a full briefing at at age of maturity.
Yeah. It's just one of those things, I suppose.
As for JJ Trek, yeah, I'm going to say it kind of ruined Star Trek because you introduced a device which made starships completely pointless.
Yeah, there was that stupid little transporter, and I want to know how Khan got that. Like, how would he know about that? And, like, whatever. That's why I didn't take Into Darkness that seriously. Honestly, the JJ Trek, it's really hard to take any of that seriously at all, just because none of it makes that much sense. The ships go too fast and they're too big. I do like the Star Destroyer-sized Enterprise, though. I kind of like that. Honestly, if you're going to have a Star Wars versus Star Trek, the JJ... You have the two JJ verses. They're both as equally incompetent as the other.
Well, there's one thing I will say JD did right. He got everything very flashy, got it looking really good, but ultimately, it's basically putting... I can't say it's lipstick on a pig because it's not that bad. It's bad, but it's more like dressing up a mannequin. Yeah, it looks great. Doesn't do anything.
But, you gotta admit, though, it was better than JJ Wars.
Yeah, but yet again, the whole comparison of broken leg to syphilis, in this case, we'll change it out for the worst of the novelization, the EU versus Soy Wars. It's a case of, okay, which would you rather have? Explosive diarrhea or stage 4 terminal cancer?
Oh dear. Oh dear. All right. On the diarrhea note, I have got to go because I've got a shitload of stuff to do. That's the problem when you have a life. You never have a chance to do any stuff like this. That's the thing, though. When you compare, like, now of course I say, yeah, I gotta go. Then I'm gonna wax on this for a moment. That's kind of the interesting thing. When you've got two equally bad franchises, at the end of the day, when you choose one that's not as bad as the other, it's still bad no matter what.
Yeah, this is why you don't settle. This is, as much as I hate the sound of it from saying it, this is why we complain. This is why whenever you realize something is just absolute tosh, you never let the creator forget it. You respectfully tell them about it, but you never let them forget it.
Exactly. And so, I am General Lotz.
And I'm Radic.
And we can wish you good. Doom 3 continued. Whatever makes you happy.